How's it going, people? Welcome back to the aftermath. Today's subject is going to be, after a bit of reflection, what mistakes do I think I made? What things do I think I could have done better? And what things am I going to change next time I prep? So we're going to be going through that today. I'm also going to be training pool, so we've got a good session coming up. Stay tuned. Oh, that claw hand. So in order to get that, you just literally can't straighten out your fingers after. Oh. Right, point number one. What would I do differently next time? What am I going to do differently next prep? And I think one of the biggest things is just give myself a little bit more time. So I think we started at about 15 weeks out. I did have a week holiday about 5 or 6 weeks into that as well, so that almost took a week away from me. So ultimately I had 14 weeks of diet. Now, when I go into my first competition, I want to be undeniably shredded. Like, I want to be in the best condition out of anyone on that stage. So that will require more time. I will likely give myself 16, 18, 20, 22 weeks more if I need it, depending on what position I end up in at the end of the off season. I want to be able to not rush the process, not have to dig myself into a hole that I don't necessarily need to get myself into if I had enough time, which I feel like I did towards the back end of this prep in terms of having to go and run sort of a rapid fat loss approach, running fucking 50 grams of carbs for a good few weeks, riding an hour of cardio, etc. Point number one, give myself more time. Oh, Jesus Christ. I feel about an inch taller after that. Like every single vertebrae in my spine just clicked. Oh. I did a hip thrust for the first time in ages yesterday. I didn't even go that heavy, but because I haven't trained my glutes in that movement, that's fucked. Oh yes, so good to be back. Training at full capacity again, training at full performance, having food inside you and just feeling like you've got some fucking oomph in training again. It's the best feeling, I'm loving it. Just ready to get as strong as I've ever been in this off season and just grow some muscle. So point two, in terms of things I'll do differently next time, is to push for a faster rate of loss towards the first half of the prep rather than the last half. So anyone that followed my photo shoot prep, I ended up having to push fairly hard within that last 4 to 6 weeks in order to bring the condition in. So next time around, I'll flip that around. When you're coming from a higher body fat percentage, you can afford to push for a faster rate of loss in terms of body weight on a week-to-week basis, whilst being at less of a risk of losing muscle tissue because you've got more fat to lose. The leaner you get, the higher the likelihood is that you're going to start digging into that lean tissue as well as body fat when you are running that faster rate of loss. So next time, push harder from the beginning and then trickle in to the show rather than trickling into the prep and then having to push hard into the show. Oh, shit. Feeling so nice and full. It's nice to actually feel like you got some muscle whilst you're training. And literally the whole prep I felt like I was a 12-year-old girl. Condition's still not too bad. As I say, we're like 3 kilos up from the shoot day, so we're going to be a little bit softer, but I'm really happy with the position I'm in now in terms of still being at a nicely lean set point, but healthily lean. This position in terms of body fat percentage is something that I can now maintain moving forward and just slowly creep up on. Obviously just maintaining a fairly lean physique for the initial parts of this off season is going to be beneficial rather than kind of pushing rate of loss too fast to the point where we then end up cutting the longevity of the gain of phase down by running into that roadblock of body fat being too high too soon and having to then recomp. But it's a balancing act between that and also just accepting the fact that you're going to put on some body fat whilst you're gaining. That's something that I will be going through within the next series, so make sure to follow along. Right, point 3. Things that I would do differently next time, things that I'll change is starting off in a more consistent position going into the prep itself. And that's something that's going to happen by default now, obviously going through this off season in a structured way and having Cal coach me. But going into this prep, like I had come out the back of a couple of years that were just a little bit haphazard, a little bit kind of unstructured in terms of everything, right? So that prep for me this time around was the thing that got me back into that routine. Whereas going into my first competitive season, I want to be able to go into that prep in the best position possible. And that will see me kind of coming out the back end of an off season, having had a very productive period of time putting on muscle, but also all those other factors that will tie into me moving into prep really well straight away in terms of just my daily routine, my nutrition, like my training, my mindset, everything will be locked in. So that's another thing I'll do differently next time. How you doing, mate? How you getting on?
You good?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Getting through.
My client watched my video, he was like, I started watching Ryan afterwards.
Yeah, what's the young lad?
No,
big guy. I see.
A couple of people saw you on mine and then headed over to yours.
Oh, sick, man. That's cool. Appreciate it.
I was saying like how well you did for your shoes.
Yeah.
And it's just good to see.
So point 4, in terms of things I will do differently or maybe a little bit more of next time, is practicing posing. Now, even for those of you doing a photo shoot, this may not seem important, but it really is. If you pose for 2 hours straight, it's fucking tough, it turns out. Just kind of holding that kind of tense ab posture, just holding poses, not being able to breathe properly. I was really taxed after the 2 hours, but obviously now with the specificity of going into a competition, it's all about posing and presenting your physique as much as possible. So I'll likely get a posing coach leading into the show. I will practice posing a lot leading into the show as well, and likely even in the off season. Like I do genuinely kind of enjoy posing. I've always loved bodybuilding itself. I've always been a fan of the sport, and it almost just comes a little bit more naturally because of that, if that makes sense. I've just grown up like watching these guys compete on stage. But yeah, it's definitely something I'll practice more and spend more time mastering prior to doing the competition, either next year or the year after. Stay tuned. Fuck. Oh shit. Mate. Fuck's sake. Oh mate, that's funny. And final point 5, in terms of things I'll do differently. Obviously, with the goal at hand being slightly different again, I would likely stay in a hotel close to the venue the night before. Obviously, with the shoot that we just did, I did it in London. I'm based down in Tunbridge Wells in Kent, which is about door to door, like an hour and a half away from London, hour to hour and a half. We missed one train, made it a little bit stressful, it's fine, but I would not want any chance of anything going wrong prior to the comp. So I would likely stay close to the venue, make that whole process as enjoyable and as stress-free as possible, and just keep all of those variables that could go wrong under my control prior to going into it. So that's probably the last thing that I would change. Right, we're going to wrap up that video here, guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was insightful in terms of a couple of lessons that I've learned from this prep and how I will then change that next time. The next episode, I'm going to be running through the specifics in terms of exactly what we're going to be doing moving forward, what the specific goals are, and what we're going to be working towards with my own physique moving forward. So stay tuned for that. That will be the last episode of the Aftermath, and then we'll be announcing the new series moving forward. So you've got that to look forward to, so stay tuned. As always, do that YouTuber stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.